Hey, what's going on? Funny seeing you here. So what I want to do in this video is I want to talk about the main question I get, which is where do I start? What do I do to start, and how do I get started investing in real estate? So in this video, I'm going to talk about the very first step you need to do if you want to set yourself up to be a successful real estate investor. I'm going to walk through finding that core focus and finding that niche. I'm going to tell you why you need to find a niche and a core focus and how that benefits you. And I'm also going to talk about how, as a new investor, you can pick your core focus and you can pick that niche. I'm also going to talk about our flipping company that flips 250 houses a year and explain what our niche is and what happens when you don't really follow that niche. Because we bought a $2.5 million house recently and this tiny house that is sitting in the back parking lot of our office. So I'm going to explain what that niche is for our flipping company at the end of this video, and then I'm going to talk about this tiny house and that big mansion and what happens when you don't follow your niche. Let's head inside. I'm freezing my butt off in this tiny house in the middle of winter in Missouri, so please hit that like button as a show of your appreciation. I'd appreciate it. There are three main reasons why I think you should have a core focus or a niche as you're getting started, and these probably aren't talked about enough or talked about on other channels at all. So the first reason why I think you need to have somewhat of a focus is to be able to explain it better to potential people that are selling you the house. What I mean is, if you're dealing with real estate agents or other wholesalers or people that are bringing you leads on distressed houses, you need to be able to explain to them simply and quickly what type of house you're looking for. If you say, I'm looking for any house anywhere, they're gonna send you a bunch of houses that you probably won't end up actually buying. You're wasting their and your time. So being able to quickly and succinctly explain what you're looking for to other people will make it a lot easier, and they'll remember that and they'll be more likely to bring you deals that you will actually buy. If you just have a big wide open net, people won't remember you and they won't bring you deals, or they'll bring you deals that you're not going to end up buying because they're really not honestly what you're looking to invest in. The second reason is it's going to save everybody a ton of time. Like I just said, if you can quickly and easily and simply explain what you're looking for, you're not going to waste your time with other people bringing you deals in areas that you're not going to want to buy and areas that you're not looking to buy in. And you're going to save them time by sending you deals and sending you things that you're not going to buy anyway. It just helps keep the process streamlined, and the simpler the better, especially at first, will save you and the people bringing you deals a ton of time. And if you can make it easier for the people to bring you deals, whether they're real estate agents or wholesalers or connectors or contractors, whoever's going to bring you that discounted property, if you can save them time and make it easier on them, they are going to bring you more deals. Number three, and then I'm going to tell you how to find your actual core focus and give you some ways to find your niche, is having a geographical pocket makes things so much easier. Usually houses in an area were built at the same time, meaning that, this area, 1950s, 1960s, houses were kind of built and booming, and then gradually they expanded, and then the houses out further are a little bit newer. So just having a specific area, you're going to learn the style of houses, you're going to learn the type of construction, you're going to be able to easily tell what a house is worth. If you have a specific little area you're focused on, maybe a couple 2-3 mile area, when somebody brings you a 3-bed 2-bath house, you're going to know how much it's worth pretty quick, rather than trying to figure out what an entire city is built on and what an entire city looks like. Because each city, especially decent sized cities and even kind of in the outskirts, they have their pockets that are better pockets or worse pockets, or houses that were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, or houses that have recently been built. So just kind of picking and focusing on a certain area will just help you know that area much easier. It's a lot easier to learn and understand what houses are like in a 2-mile radius than a 15 and 20 mile radius. So it'll just help you be more efficient at first. Then after that, maybe you can expand your pocket a little bit. All right, so this is how I suggest you picking your niche or your core focus at first. This is just my opinion because I think this will help you learn everything a little bit quicker and buy more deals. Pick somewhere that you're somewhat familiar with. If you're investing in your local market, which I always suggest, of course you can invest virtually, and a lot of people do, but I like being able to drive to my assets and see my assets. So I suggest investing locally and in an area you're familiar with. We're in St. Louis. It's probably a mid to smaller size city, and just in our city, there's North County, there's North City, which is not good. North County's okay. There's South City, South County, there's out St. Charles County. There's probably maybe 8 to 10 kind of pockets of areas that people are familiar with and that things are consistent in those pockets. So if you're more familiar with, like, you went to school in one area, or you grew up in one area, or hopefully you live in one area and want to invest where you live, I suggest kind of picking a geographical area that you're already kind of familiar with. Of course, if you really want to invest in an area that you're not familiar with, you will learn. But if you already have a basis understanding, like, you know, you have a history there, it's just going to make things a lot easier. You're going to know more people there, and you're going to know that area better. I also suggest picking newer houses. When I say newer, I mean houses built after the 1950s. And again, this is for new investors. Of course, you can buy a 1920s Victorian style house and rehab it and make a ton of money and put a lot of money into it, but I suggest 1950s or newer, at least at first. After the 1950s and the 1960s, construction got a lot better. There wasn't knob and tube wiring, there wasn't as much asbestos used, and it just was a lot simpler. At first, you want to keep things simple, you want to keep rehab simple, and you want to keep everything, you know, going to where you're not sticking a ton of money and effort into it. So if it's close to where you are and where you're familiar with, and it's a newer style house, it will just make things easier on you. The third piece of my advice in picking your core focus and your niche would finding houses and buying houses that need just a cosmetic rehab. By that I mean just simple surface type rehabs. Of course, people make a ton of money on houses that they stick $100,000, $150,000 in, but there's a lot of risk that goes into that. If you can get in and out quickly, the market won't shift as much if the market shifts, and everything is simpler if you don't need to buy a bunch of materials, with materials kind of being short in supply right now. That just makes things a lot easier on you. You don't need to have a ton of different contractors in there. So just simplicity purposes and being able to understand how much the rehab needs, just a simpler, smaller rehab is better. You know, something that needs maybe $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, you're gonna get in a lot less trouble, because you don't wanna get into trouble on any deal, especially your first few deals, doing a house like that as opposed to a $100,000 rehab. The last one, and I kind of already touched on this, is somewhere close to where you live or work. If you're having somebody else do that rehab, which is probably the case for most people, you can hire out rehabs. A lot of people are scared of rehabbing, and I understand that, but you can hire everything out. I don't touch my properties at all. I hire that all out, and you can do the same. So having it close to your house or work will just make it easier for you to stop by. If it's, you know, an hour out of your way, you're probably gonna make it there once a week, probably not twice, maybe even not even once a week. But if you're doing it at first especially, you're gonna wanna check on that house 2, 3, 4 times a week, and keep an eye on the contractors and keep an eye on the progress of the house, so you know that they're there working, and so you also can keep an eye on everything and make sure that everything's progressing at the timetable that you would like. Just the further it away, the more pain in the butt it is, the less likely you are to go. So keep it close. So our niche in our flipping company, which, like I said, flips, meaning buys and sells 250 houses a year, 150 to 175 of those are wholesales. The rest are actual rehabs where we get in the house and fix them up. Our niche for our core focus on buying houses is landlord-friendly houses within 30 minutes of our office, needing cosmetic rehabs with an ARV of $300,000 or under. That's pretty specific, and we do go outside that niche, as you can see by me standing in a tiny house. But having that focus, I would say 80% of the houses we buy fit that criteria. It's close, we know the area extremely well. Any of our 5 buyers, you can say, you know, I found a house in this neighborhood that's this size, and they can pretty quickly off the top of their head tell you about what it's worth. Now, of course, they're gonna have to go look at it and run comps and check, and they could be pretty far off, but in general, they're gonna know kind of what it's worth, and it's a quick little drive for them to go out and look at it. So having that focus just really, really helps us. When we get outside that focus, that's kind of when we get in trouble. Let's head outside and I'll tell you what that trouble looks like. All right, so this tiny house we actually bought it from a local high school who had a trade program that they put this together, and they did a pretty good job, but we're not in the tiny house market. We looked at what the market was gonna bring, and we thought we bought it at enough of a discount. Now, we've only owned it for a couple months, not even probably about a month, but we haven't sold it yet. So we'll see. We're not in it for too much, but this thing might be sitting back here for a long time. Now, we're not gonna lose a ton of money on it, but we might lose a little bit of money because we went outside that niche. Now, this big house that we just listed for $2.5 million, it's been on the market for about the same time, about a month, month and a half. We've already had a $100,000 price drop. We do have some people interested, and again, I think we bought it at a pretty decent price. but I don't know. It may stay on the market for 6 more months, and there's a lot of holding costs that go when you're borrowing a couple $1,000,000. So we'll see how that goes. We might do a ride on both of these, one, or we might kind of lose money on both of them. We'll see, but sometimes we're willing to take those risks because we have all those other houses coming in and we have a profitable business. So we kind of wanted to help out the local community with this house and the big mansion. If we sold it at asking or near asking, we would make a pretty good lick on it. But we'll see. I'll keep you informed. So if you saw any value out of this video, please make sure you hit that like button. You're still watching it, hopefully, so hopefully you've hit that like button. If you haven't, hit it. Also subscribe to this channel. I like to think of fun ways to entertain and educate you on how to become financially free through real estate. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I like to release at least 2 videos a week, and I also like to go live at least once a week on this channel and just simply answer your questions. In the description below also has a link to my free training that tells you about how you can specifically and tactically go out and create financial freedom through real estate. So check out the description below and add in the comment section what you think your core focus is in your area. Describe it to me and I will personally give you my feedback if I think it's, kind of niched down enough, or if it's too niched, or you can kind of expand it a little bit. I'll give you my thoughts on it. See you on the next one.